A former Pittsburgh Steelers legend has stated that he is very surprised at how the defense has collapsed this season as the result of just one key injury. Hello, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome to the latest episode of your Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate with me, your host, Britsburgh, Owen, speaking to you here in the UK. Well, guys, it is the day before the showdown with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it is really a must-win game for the Steelers. But Jack Ham, member of the legendary 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers defense and that 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers team that won 4 Super Bowls, has been having his say about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense this year. Now, I know what you might think, someone from the past talking about the Steelers now, who cares? But what he's got to say is actually very relevant. When you take his comment and then you look into his comment and investigate what he has to say about the team. So this is what Jack Ham said about the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. Jack Ham said that one player should not all of a sudden make a defense collapse like that. I'm shocked by the way the Pittsburgh defense is playing. Now, that's what he said on the Fans Cook and Joe show. This is an interesting comment from Jack Ham, isn't it? You know, and he's right. One player should not suddenly make a whole defense fall apart. You know, go back to week one, when TJ Watt played against the Cincinnati Bengals. That defense looked absolutely terrific. They looked amazing. You know, was it 7 turnovers, 5 sacks or something like that anyway? And they played absolute outstanding football. Then Watt goes out injured and the defense just falls to pieces. Now, supposedly, there are some very talented players still on this defense. So, as Jack Ham says, it shouldn't make a defense collapse like that. Losing one player like that should not make that much of a difference. You know, if you look at the Bills last week, no Jordan Poyer, no Micah Hyde, 2 very talented players. Yet their defense kept up the form they had shown, and their secondary stepped it up in Poyer and Hyde's absence. Now, I know the Steelers have got injuries coming into this week with Cam Sutton, Nicola Witherspoon, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Levi Wallace. But these injuries didn't happen all of a sudden, all at once. This is a gradual thing over these weeks. And the defense has got gradually worse and worse and worse and worse. But even in the first week after TJ Watt's injury, given the fact that realistically it was only Watt that was out injured, the defense still looked absolutely terrible. There was no penetration. There was no ability to get after the quarterback. The secondary looked poor. The Patriots ran the ball at will on the Steelers. It was a very poor defensive display. And this is a result of just one player missing. Why is this one player causing all this difference to happen? Now, if we look at the defensive stats for 2022 for our Pittsburgh Steelers, so they've faced 73 third down situations and the opposition have converted 34 of them, so just under 50%. However, on fourth down, they faced 8 fourth down situations and allowed the opposition to convert 5 of them. They've given up a total of 2,084 yards this season, and they average 352 yards per game, which simply is not good enough. In addition to that, they average 5.9 yards per play. So for every one play the opposition runs, they average 5.9 yards. On the rushing side, they are giving up 129.2 rushing yards per game. That is absolutely awful. But giving up over 100 rushing yards per game is simply not good enough in the NFL, especially when your defense is costing you $102 million. And even if you take out the TJ Watt cap hit, you've still got an $80 million defense. Now, in 5 games, they've managed only 10 sacks, which is well down on their usual rate. And 5.5 sacks of those 10 belong to one man, Alex Highsmith. 4.5 sacks, therefore, amongst the rest of the defense when you have the likes of Cam Haywood, Larry Ogunjobi, Montravius Adams, Tyson Alualu, Miles Jack, Devin Bush is simply not good enough. Now, what has caused this collapse? You know, it can't be solely down to the players. The players on that team are talented. Miles Jack is a talented player. Devin Bush, like it or not, is a talented player. Alex Highsmith is a talented player. Cam Hayward is a fantastic player. Montravius Adams is a good player. Larry Ogunjobi is a very good player. Yet, this team seem an ability to stop the run. They seem an ability to get after the quarterback and put the quarterback under any pressure, which would actually assist the secondary. Now, why is this happening? Who is to blame? Guys, it comes down to two things, actually. Number one, there's not been enough investment in certain key positions on the defense. So, for instance, at the outside linebacker, the depth behind Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt is so thin. Malik Reed has not lived up to what he is, has not been worth that draft pick that was surrendered for him. Jameer Jones has looked poor. Delonte Scott has made very little difference, and Ryan Anderson has made absolutely zero difference. They have not got the quality there. You look at the cornerback positions as well. Take out, Sutton, Wallace, and you take out Witherspoon. And behind those three, you've got Mollett, Pierre, and also Josh Jackson, who was released by the Packers and the Giants. This is not quality depth, guys. And now, also, the Steelers failed to address the cornerback position after they didn't re-sign Joe Hayden. There's no cornerback one. That's why the defense is struggling with the secondary. There is no lockdown, shutdown corner. The Steelers should have made a play in the offseason to go and get a free agent like a JC Jackson, like a Stephon Gilmore. But was it they were too tight to pay the money needed to bring in a quality player like this? Is that the thing? If that is the case, then the front office is solely to blame for that. But in terms of what the defense is doing on the field, that is down to the coaching. Now, before you all go and blame Terrell Austin, don't. Terrell Austin is a puppet. Mike Tomlin calls this defense. Make no mistake. Look at some of the comments that he made. Like, for example, when he was asked about the interception that Kenny Pickett threw to Pat Freiermuth in the Jet when he overthrew Freiermuth in the Jets game. Tomlin stated he was preparing the defense to go onto the field. Tomlin calls the defense. Tomlin cannot call the defense. He needs to concentrate on being a head coach and butt out of the defense. Leave the defensive calls to Austin and Flores and get his nose out. Because one thing is evidently clear over this last season and a half. Mike Tomlin is the worst defensive coordinator in the NFL. He is shocking as a defensive coordinator. Look at how our defense has struggled. And that's down to his scheme and the way he is calling it. And make no mistake, guys, he is calling this defense. And that's a mistake. So, Jack Ham is right to be shocked at how this defense has collapsed, but we've got to look at the core reasons for it. One, the front office not getting enough quality depth, even though the fact this defense costs so much money. And number two, the coaching of this defense and the scheme they're asked to play, the Mike Tomlin defensive scheme, which is an utter failure. That's my thoughts anyway, Steeler Nation. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And if you've just found the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and come and join the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. Guys, no matter what, black and gold through and through. Here we go, Steelers. Come on!